What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the next installment of our top 10 positional breakdowns for the 2019 NFL Draft. We're going to get right into it here. Just a quick reminder, no film in this video for copyright reasons, but please do hit that like button. It's the easiest way to support the channel. And if you do want to see film breakdowns by me, you can get them on my Patreon. That's patreon.com/ThatFranchiseGuy. So let's kick this thing off here. Number one, Kyler Murray, who has really answered all of the questions in the pre-draft process, comes in at 5'10", which is a bit of a cutoff for a lot of people from getting over the hump of a shorter quarterback prospect. And to me, I've always had Kyler Murray as my number one quarterback. He just has the elite traits that you're looking for in a quarterback that can really transcend the scheme and kind of break the mold of being a system quarterback, which we all know the majority of quarterbacks really are kind of dependent on scheme and surrounding talent. Kyler Murray, to me, transcends that. And it's not just about his mobility. He really is extremely accurate downfield. You talk about the ability to throw receivers open being one of those ways to, transcend surrounding situations. Comebacks, just elite arm talent and accuracy downfield. He is a natural thrower of the football. This is not Lamar Jackson that we're talking about here, even though he is just as athletic, if not more. And obviously his mobility is going to be his best trait. His ability to explode out of the pocket and turn, what could have been a sack into a 15-yard gain in the snap of a finger is just incredible. So I'm really excited for Kyler Murray. And I don't shy away from the Russell Wilson comparisons like a lot of people do. Obviously, every quarterback is their own player, and Kyler's going to be just a little different. And I think some people just don't want to be lazy because he's shorter, but he really is an extremely similar player. He is almost impossible to bring down. He is thicker at his size, just like Russell Wilson is. He has that great arm talent, the ability to throw downfield just like Russell Wilson does. Obviously, the mobility is there. And then also like Russell Wilson, I don't think he's going to be an elite, stand in the pocket, diagnose every play, get rid of the ball quickly. That's never been Russell Wilson's game. He really capitalizes on his strength. And I think whoever takes Kyler Murray, I think it will be Arizona, is going to do the same thing. A lot of play action boots, a lot of, added protection so that he can use that mobility to throw the ball downfield, high yards per completion. I think Kyler Murray is going to be much more like Russell Wilson than he isn't, and when he goes number one, he should honestly, at least send a little thank you note to Russell Wilson, because thanks to him, we've opened our eyes about the fact that a 5'10" quarterback can succeed in the NFL, and as we know with Russell Wilson, succeed at a very, very high level. So next up, number two, Dwayne Haskins. I'm kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out on him. He's got a lot of traits that you really like. He has a rare release. He has just elite ability in the short passing game, which is definitely valuable in 2019. That's just the direction that the NFL is going. Now, he does not have the mobility you like. He frankly isn't as accurate downfield for a pocket passer as you would like. And he's really a hard guy to come up with a comparison for. He's got a little Ben Roethlisberger in his game. He's got a little Tom Brady in his game. He's got a little Phillip Rivers in his game as well. That's the comp I went with. I don't know if you can really have a true comp for Dwayne Haskins. He's going to be a pretty unique player. So I really like him going to a team that has a pretty good offensive line. He doesn't necessarily need an elite offensive line like I do think with like some of these other guys like Jared Goff or Josh Rosen, because I do think Dwayne Haskins has a very quick processor. He has the ability to throw like really anticipatory throws in the short game, and his release is so quick. He has the same trait that Tom Brady has, where he's able to sense pressure and then do one of two things. And this is, as a little digression here, this is what makes Tom Brady not a system quarterback, is he can do just those little things inside the pocket. If he's about to get sacked, when you'll see guys like Jared Goff or Josh Rosen take that sack, sometimes fumble, well, Tom Brady just does a little step inside, and he either knows exactly what's going on downfield, and he can throw the ball into the dirt onto the sidelines, or even in the middle of the field, he'll throw it in the dirt without getting that intentional grounding penalty, or even better, he will know where he needs to throw the football, where his receivers are about to come open. And Dwayne Haskins has a lot of that, which is very rare and unique for a college prospect. So a really unique player. I've got some questions about, sometimes it does seem like he guesses and he will get burnt on it on those situations I was just describing. And just because he doesn't have that elite mobility, you do have worries about if he goes to a team that can't protect him, how well will he hold up? So I like Dwayne Haskins. I do think he's worth a top 10 pick. A lot of people say he's the number 1 quarterback. I just think Kyler's a lot safer. So I like Haskins here at number 2. And I think if New York let him go, it would be a mistake. I've had Cincinnati trading up to number 4 to get him. I thought Jacksonville would have been a great fit, but they screwed up and signed Nick Foles. So I like Dwayne Haskins. I'd be very surprised if he does not go in the top 6 of this draft. Then number 3, we've got Drew Lock here. Now, I know it's going to seem high to some people who really don't like Drew Lock, and then others think he's a top 10 pick. I'm in between there. I think he's worthy of a late first round. I probably would not end up pulling the trigger there. I would just risk that he falls to me in the second, and if he didn't, I would just let someone else take this risk. The NFL comp is Jay Cutler. He's got the arm talent. He's a very mobile dude, but he's incredibly raw. He played in a very basic system at Missouri and never really won or looked all that impressive, despite having plenty of opportunities to do so with good receivers with that team. So to me, he does scream bust. I definitely am scared of him, but there is that upside there. He does show great flashes, similar to a Jay Cutler. So, it's definitely a drop off from Dwayne Haskins to him. But if anyone else in this class is going to become a quality starter, I would say that Drew Lock is that guy. His upside is probably that of Matthew Stafford, and then Jay Cutler is probably the floor. Which is honestly not a bad floor for a late first round, early second round pick, Jay Cutler. But if you have to spend a top 15 pick on him and you're reaching, then that's when you're starting to lose out on value. So I like Drew Lock a little bit, but I do definitely have my concerns. Number 4, Will Grier. Much loved player in this class. I definitely see a lack of arm strength here when he tries to throw to the sidelines, downfield, and on out routes. I just don't know if he's going to be able to consistently use that part of the field. He's going to have some limitations in his game, but you do like his processor. He has a rare anticipation, understanding when his receivers are coming open. He's somewhat mobile. Some people were disappointed in his 40 time is 4.84. That's almost exactly where I projected him. He does a good job extending plays, kind of running around in college, but I do think he's going to have to kind of hone that in a little bit at the next level where defenders are bigger, faster, stronger. So my comp for him is Andy Dalton. I think you kind of know what you're getting from Will Grier, but as we've seen in Cincinnati, you kind of end up with a guy that's kind of quarterback purgatory, a guy that can get you to the playoffs, but you're probably never going to win a Super Bowl with Will Grier. But if you are really hurting at quarterback and you want to increase the competition in that room and then maybe get a guy who can start, I do think of Jacksonville maybe in the second round. Will Grier might not be the worst pick for them there. So let's move on and talk about Daniel Jones, player out of Duke. When he declared, he was the number 1 quarterback for a lot of people. That was before Kyler Murray kind of answered a lot of questions and had committed full-time to football. I've never really seen it with Daniel Jones. I just see an okay arm, a good athlete. He's a bit of a stiff runner. At times he kind of gave me flashes of Mitch Trubisky, where he will be just kind of killing it all game, and then he'll sail a ball or he'll throw one in the dirt, and you're like, oh, come on, man. We need more than that. A little underwhelming workout. He's definitely an above average athlete. I think he's faster on tape than he actually ran, which was 4.8. He can throw off balance. He's decent at sensing pressure. He's just kind of solid all around. I just don't see the upside, mainly because of that arm talent, but I also don't see a ton of anticipatory throws. And, he really is not an accurate quarterback downfield. So the comparison here is Ryan Tannehill. And if he goes in the first round, like a lot of people are predicting, then I really do think this will be Ryan Tannehill all over again. He's almost an identical player. If you've been following this channel, I have not been a Ryan Tannehill guy essentially since he got into the NFL. And I'm glad that we can now stop fighting off the Tannehill truthers there in Miami. So number 6 here, Ryan Finley. Had a lot of success at NC State, really did a good job building up that program, which is something you like about him. Now, the biggest criticism for me is that he was actually just surrounded by talent. Excellent receivers, had a good offensive line, was really in a good foundation to succeed, and it allowed him to kind of show off some nice traits. So he has a bit of an underwhelming arm at his size, but it's not a poor arm. I think he could be a starter at this level with that arm. I don't know if he can be an elite starter. I do like his accuracy, though. He's very good in the short game. He can get out, get on the move, make some big-time throws, put that ball in a position where some of those bigger receivers, Kelvin Harmon specifically, he had a great rapport on those back shoulder throws with Kelvin Harmon, which I like to see. He's got a nice release. So I like a lot of things about Finley's game. You just have questions about the upside here. And honestly, I don't have a huge gap between Grier, Jones, and Finley. I think if you think one of these guys fits your scheme better and matches better with your personnel, I think any of these three in the 2 to 3 rounds could end up being a starter in this league, honestly. I do think if you're talking about a team like the Chargers or the Patriots or the Steelers where they have time to sit and develop a guy, I would say that Ryan Finley, if I had to bet, is going to be the guy out of those three that becomes a high quality starter, like could become the next Phillip Rivers. Dare I say the next Tom Brady? Probably not, but you get my point. So I do like Ryan Finley here, but I think there's just more bust potential there with him to not even be a quality backup that you get with Grier and Jones, just because he was surrounded by so much talent at NC State, and you do have some questions about that. Number 7 here, Tyree Jackson. Outside of Kyler Murray, probably the most polarizing player in this class in terms of quarterbacks. It does remind me a lot of Deshaun Kaiser coming out of Notre Dame, who I had a third to fifth round grade on, just like I have on Jackson. Incredibly raw, not a very good processor, can't really anticipate a whole lot, but has the physical tools you look for. You like that he was really successful in college, obviously at a pretty low level of competition, but the reports are that he's never actually had a true quarterbacks coach. You can tell because his mechanics are terrible. He's got this wonky release. So if he can come in and be that third quarterback on a roster where there is no pressure for him to play, and you put him surrounded by a good quarterback who might be on his way out, I do think of like Green Bay, which is exactly what they're doing with Deshaun Kaiser, or like Pittsburgh, LA, Chargers, that is. There's a chance that he could become a starter in a Matthew Stafford type of player. Probably never going to show all the elite tools from a fundamentals standpoint, but could really get by with his arm talent. He's not a dumb quarterback. Like, he does make some good reads out there. It's just the mechanics and the accuracy that really bother me. And then in terms of his athleticism, like, he's really fast in a straight line, but he's not Cam Newton. Like, Cam Newton is absurdly quick and accelerates super well at his size, which is like 6'7", 250. Tyree Jackson, he can have some breakaway runs, but he's not, super agile, and he actually looks very slow inside the pocket, if you ask me. So he's an interesting player. I doubt he's going to turn into anything special. But in a perfect scenario, it could happen. So 3rd to 5th round for me for a team like the Chargers or the Steelers, who are still looking for that future replacement. He has a chance to develop. Number 8, Jarrett Stidham, has kind of fluctuated throughout the year. At a time was probably my number 1 quarterback, like way back in September or so, because he does show some really nice flashes. At times, had me thinking like the next Tony Romo here. The problem is his inconsistencies just destroy his value. Like, he will have a good game, he'll have a good quarter, and then he just won't be able to hit a throw. He'll make terrible throws. My comparison for him is Blaine Gabbert. You like his athleticism, you like his arm talent. Pretty mobile dude, can make some nice throws on the run, but incredibly raw for a guy that's had an opportunity to kind of break out and never really did it. So a day 3 pick here, probably a career backup that kind of flames out, as you really aren't going to feel too comfortable with him ever as your guy that comes in a relief pitching role. And then number 9, Easton Stick. Really intriguing player, super athletic, probably the best athlete in this group. I actually think he's a better athlete than Tyree Jackson just because he's so quick and, he actually can create big plays with his feet. Tyree Jackson I just see as like, get 10, 15 yards scrambling. I don't see him like making any guys miss or anything. Easton Stick, okay, well, we're also forgetting Kyler Murray when I say that. But Easton Stick's a really nice player. He just does not have the arm talent. Like, you can see it when he throws outs, when he throws deep outside the numbers. He does lack that elite arm talent that is going to help him, that could help him become a good starter at the next level. But I do think he could be a guy that comes in as a relief starter when your guy goes down, could get you by for 4 or 5 games, just like Case Keenum. Really mobile dude, smart player. I like his game a lot. You just, you wish he had a stronger arm. And if anyone in this top 10, I think, makes me look stupid, I think it could be Easton Stick. In the same thing, I did not think Baker Mayfield had a very strong arm last year. Now, I thought Baker had a better arm than Easton Stick in terms of the grade. But if anyone's going to prove me wrong and actually end up with a good NFL arm and turns into a starter as a total long shot, mind you, I think it could be Easton Stick here. And the biggest reason I say that is sometimes on tape, especially at the lower level here, it's just a little harder to tell on tape how much zip that ball actually has, but you can see when you throw out the numbers, it just is a little bit wobbly with Easton Stick. All right, and then number 10 here, and keep in mind there's a massive drop-off here from 9 to 10, and then there's a cluster of guys like Brett Ripien. I actually don't hate Trace McSorley. After Easton Stick, I really think you're just throwing darts, and anyone in the remainder of this class could be drafted or undrafted, and it would not surprise me. But I do think the 9 guys we've talked about should be drafted. But Clayton Thorson's a guy that has actually been on my radar for about 3 years now. The thing with him is he never really had too much stability. Now, I believe last year he did finally become a full-time starter, but there was times where he was benched when he was just flat out bad, but there was times where he looked dominant. He has the ideal size. His arm's pretty good. It's not like an elite arm. He's very mobile for his size, and he can really whip it when he's on the move. But it's just the inconsistencies, the accuracy issues, the processor, bad decisions. Like, you just don't know what you're getting here in Clayton Thorson. He does come in at number 10 because I just think he has a higher upside of really anyone else left in this draft. I think if you need a more stable backup, a guy like Brett Ripien would be a better call. But I don't really hate Clayton Thorson's game, and if he ended up having a 10-year career as a backup in the NFL, it would not really surprise me. So that's going to do it. That's the top 10 quarterbacks list. Again, guys, just a reminder to please like the video if you enjoyed, if you learned something. We're going to do running backs next. Should be here within the week. Excited to hear what you guys think in the comments about these evaluations. So cheers as always, and we'll see you next time. Peace out.